The mirror doesn't lie, but sometimes we refuse to see the truth staring back at us. I learned that lesson the hard way on a humid August evening when my own daughter and son-in-law pinned me to my kitchen chair, and I felt the cold metal of electric clippers against my scalp. The sound, that mechanical buzzing, still haunts my dreams. But what they didn't know, what nobody knew, was that I'd been preparing for this moment. And my revenge. Well, let's just say karma came faster than anyone expected. Welcome. This is the voice of Deborah, and I tell true life stories. My name is Leah Taylor, and I'm 63 years old. For 35 years, I worked as a private investigator specializing in insurance fraud and corporate espionage. I've tracked cheating spouses through 5 states, caught workers' comp fraudsters running marathons while claiming disability, and helped companies recover millions in stolen assets. I learned to read people, to spot lies, to follow the money trail. Ironic, isn't it? I spent decades uncovering other people's deceptions, but I didn't see the betrayal growing in my own home until it was almost too late. I raised 3 children on my own after my husband, Marcus, died in a car accident when I was just 35. Life wasn't easy, but I prided myself on being a survivor, a fighter. My PI work paid well, better than most people realized. I owned my house outright, a beautiful 3-bedroom Craftsman in a quiet neighborhood, and I'd saved nearly $400,000 for retirement, plus I had investments and a pension from my years working with various agencies. Not bad for a single mother who started with nothing but determination and a keen eye for detail. But money changes people. And sometimes, the people closest to you become strangers wearing familiar faces. It started 6 months before that terrible night. My youngest daughter, Skylar, showed up at my door with her husband, Martin, and their 2 children. She was crying, mascara streaking down her carefully made-up face. "Mom, we lost everything," she sobbed, collapsing into my arms. "Martin's business went under. The bank is foreclosing on our house. We have nowhere to go." What kind of mother turns away her child in need? I didn't hesitate. "You can stay here as long as you need," I told them, hugging Skylar tight. Family takes care of family. That was my first mistake, believing that the girl I'd raised still existed beneath the designer clothes and practiced tears. They moved in the next week. Suddenly, my peaceful home became chaos central. The grandchildren, Emma, 8, and Noah, 6, were sweet kids, but Martin and Skylar seemed to have forgotten how to parent. They'd disappear for hours, leaving me to cook, clean, and watch the children. When I gently suggest they help out, Skylar would get defensive. "You don't understand the stress we're under, Mom," she'd snap. "We're dealing with financial ruin. The least you could do is help with the kids." I bit my tongue. They were going through a hard time, I told myself. Be patient. But patience only stretches so far before it snaps. 2 months in, I noticed something odd. Martin kept taking calls in the backyard, speaking in hushed tones. Skylar started asking strange questions about my finances. How much was my house worth? Did I have a will? Who was the beneficiary on my life insurance? "Just curious, Mom," she'd say with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "You're getting older. We should make sure everything's in order." I was 63, not 93. I still ran surveillance operations for select clients, could stake out a location for 12 hours without breaking a sweat, and my observation skills were sharper than ever. Her concern felt less like love and more like reconnaissance. The red flags multiplied. I found paperwork in the guest room, documents from lawyers, something about power of attorney. When I confronted Skylar, she laughed it off. "Oh, that. Martin's uncle is sick. We're helping him sort out his affairs." But the name on the documents wasn't Martin's uncle. It was mine. My hands shook as I put the papers back exactly where I'd found them. A cold dread settled in my stomach. I'd felt this before. That sixth sense that kicks in when a surveillance subject is about to bolt, when a case is about to crack wide open. I was feeling that instinct now, but this time I was the target. I did what I do best. I started investigating my own daughter. I installed hidden cameras in common areas of my house. Legal, since it was my property. I activated the GPS tracker I kept in my car's spare key fob. I started documenting everything. Every suspicious conversation, every unexplained absence, every lie. Old habits from my PI days kicked in, and I created a case file labeled Operation Family Betrayal. What I discovered chilled me to the bone. Martin hadn't lost his business. He'd bankrupted it deliberately, funneling money into offshore accounts. The foreclosure was real, but only because they'd stopped paying the mortgage while socking away cash. They weren't broke, they were committing fraud. And now they were looking for their next mark. Me. I caught Martin on camera photographing my financial documents when I was out grocery shopping. I recorded Skylar calling someone, a doctor I later identified as having lost his medical license 3 years ago for falsifying patient records, discussing how much he'd charged to diagnose me with dementia. "She's a private investigator," Skylar said into the phone. "She's paranoid by nature. It'll be easy to claim she's lost touch with reality. Professional hazard, you know. All those years of conspiracy theories finally caught up with her." My blood ran cold. They weren't just planning to steal my money. They were building an elaborate scheme to have me declared mentally incompetent and institutionalized. I'd seen cases like this during my career, but I never imagined I'd be the victim. I reached out to my old colleagues in the PI business. Tommy Chen, who specialized in financial crimes, helped me trace Martin's offshore accounts. Sandra Martinez, an expert in elder fraud, walked me through the legal protections I needed. And my former mentor, Jack Reynolds, now a retired FBI agent, advised me on building an evidence file that would hold up in court. "Leah, you've got enough here to put them both away," Jack said, reviewing my surveillance footage. "But you need to be careful. Cornered animals are dangerous. And these two are desperate." I scheduled an appointment with Dr. Patel, my primary care physician, and asked for a complete cognitive evaluation. I also visited my lawyer, Tom Bradley, who'd handled my estate planning for 20 years. "Tom, I need to tell you something," I said, sitting in his mahogany-paneled office. "I think my daughter is planning to have me declared incompetent so she can steal everything from me." His expression turned grave as I showed him my evidence file. Photos, recordings, financial documents. "Leah, this is textbook elder abuse with insurance fraud on the side. Let's build you an impenetrable defense." We updated my will, changed my power of attorney to Tom himself, and I underwent every cognitive test available. Every evaluation showed I was as sharp as ever. My IQ tested at 142, my memory was excellent, my reasoning skills were intact. We documented everything and had it notarized by 3 different notaries. I even made a video statement just in case. "If you're watching this," I said to the camera, "something has happened to me. And Skylar Taylor Morrison and Martin Morrison are responsible. Everything you need to prosecute them is in the evidence file with my attorney and with the FBI." I hid copies of everything, in a safe deposit box with Tom, with Jack, and with my oldest son Michael, who lived 3 states away. Michael didn't talk to Skylar much. They'd had a falling out years ago over money Skylar had borrowed and never repaid. Now I understood why he'd cut her off. I also did something else. I hired a tech specialist to clone my phone and laptop, creating fake versions that showed declining mental capacity. Missed appointments, confused emails, searches for basic information I'd obviously know. If Skylar and Martin were monitoring my devices, which my surveillance showed they were, they'd see exactly what I wanted them to see: a woman losing her grip on reality. Meanwhile, I was building the most important case of my career. Not for money this time. For survival. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait for them to spring it. Back to that August evening. It was a Friday around 7 o'clock. The grandchildren were at a sleepover, conveniently arranged by Skylar. I knew what was coming. My hidden cameras were recording. My phone had a panic button app linked directly to the police, and Jack Reynolds was monitoring a live feed from a camera disguised as a smoke detector. Martin and Skylar asked me to join them in the kitchen for a family meeting. "Mom, we need to talk about your health," Skylar began, her voice syrupy with fake concern. "My health is fine," I replied, standing near the doorway, positioning myself in clear view of the hidden camera. "That's not what we've observed," Martin interjected, moving to block the exit. "You've been forgetting things. Getting confused. Your work. You haven't taken a case in months. We think you're losing it." "I'm semi-retired by choice," I said firmly. "And I don't need anything except for you both to move out of my house. This has gone on long enough." Skylar's mask slipped. Her face contorted with rage. "This is our house now, you paranoid old bat. You're going to sign it over to us, along with everything else. We've already got Dr. Hammond ready to testify that you're incompetent." "Dr. Hammond lost his medical license in 2020, I said calmly. "His testimony won't hold up." Martin's eyes widened. "How did you? I'm a private investigator, you idiot. Did you really think I wouldn't notice you two running a con in my own house?" That's when Martin grabbed me. He was a big man, 6'2" and 200 pounds of muscle. He shoved me into a kitchen chair while Skylar produced a stack of papers. "Sign them," she demanded. "Power of attorney, quitclaim deed, all of it. Sign or we'll make you." "I won't," I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. My finger was already on my phone's panic button in my pocket. Martin slapped me hard across the face. "Sign them or things get worse." Then Skylar grabbed my hair, yanking my head back. "You're going to learn what happens to people who don't cooperate with us." And then I heard it, the buzzing of electric clippers. They held me down. I fought, but I was one elderly woman against two people in their prime. The clippers bit into my scalp, my hair, silver streaked with brown, falling in clumps to the floor. They were shaving my head like I was being punished, trying to break my spirit, humiliate me into submission. "Still won't sign," Skylar taunted, watching chunks of my hair scatter across the linoleum. "Fine. Tomorrow, Dr. Hammond and his friends will have you committed to Riverside Psychiatric. You'll spend the rest of your life in a locked ward while we live in your house and spend your money. Maybe we'll visit on holidays." The clippers finished their work. I sat there, bald, aching, terrified, but not broken. Because I knew something they didn't. I triggered the panic button the moment Martin grabbed me. The police had been listening to everything for the past 12 minutes. Jack Reynolds had the video feed. And every word they'd said was recorded on multiple devices. "You want to know something funny?" I said quietly, touching my bare scalp. They froze. "What?" "I've been investigating you for 3 months. I know about the offshore accounts, Martin. The insurance fraud. The bankruptcy scheme. I know about Dr. Hammond and what you paid him. I have video of you photographing my financial documents. Audio of every conversation about having me committed. Bank records showing where the money really went." The color drained from Skylar's face. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" 3 months ago, I signed my house and all my assets into an irrevocable trust. Neither of you gets a penny. The trust beneficiaries are your brother Michael, your sister Jennifer, and various charities. You're specifically excluded. Those documents you're trying to force me to sign, they're worthless. I can't sign over property I don't legally control anymore." Martin's hands tightened into fists. "You old." And then we all heard it. The sound of car doors slamming, footsteps on the porch, the commanding voice. "Police! Nobody move." The front door burst open. Officers flooded in, weapons drawn. Hands where we can see them. I stood up slowly, my bald head catching the kitchen light. "Officers, I'm the homeowner and the victim. These two people are my daughter and son-in-law. They've assaulted me, attempted to coerce me into signing over my assets, and conspired to have me falsely committed to a psychiatric facility." The next few hours were a blur of statements, photographs of my injuries and my shaved head, evidence collection. Martin and Skylar were arrested for assault, attempted theft, elder abuse, conspiracy to commit fraud, and insurance fraud. The papers they'd tried to force me to sign were seized as evidence, along with my meticulously compiled case file. Jack Reynolds arrived with the FBI. Turns out Martin's offshore accounts and bankruptcy fraud fell under federal jurisdiction. This wasn't just elder abuse. It was wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. As they were led away in handcuffs, Skylar looked at me with pure hatred. "I'm your daughter. How could you do this to me?" I walked up to her, this woman-eyed raised, and looked her dead in the eye. "How could you do this to me? I loved you. I gave you everything. And you tried to destroy me. But you forgot one thing. I'm a private investigator. Reading people, uncovering lies, following evidence. It's what I do. You never stood a chance." The trial happened 4 months later. The prosecution had an airtight case. My surveillance footage, the audio recordings, the financial evidence Tommy Chen had compiled, my cognitive evaluations proving I was completely competent, testimony from Dr. Patel and Tom Bradley, and the physical evidence of assault. The defense tried to claim I'd fabricated everything, that my paranoid investigator mentality had driven me to set them up. But the jury saw through it. The evidence was overwhelming. Martin got 8 years for assault, conspiracy, elder abuse, wire fraud, and money laundering. Skylar got 6 years as an accomplice. Both were ordered to undergo psychological evaluation and were permanently barred from contacting me. The day the verdict came down, I sat in the courtroom, my hair starting to grow back in soft silver tufts, and felt something I hadn't felt in months, vindicated. My other children, Michael and Jennifer, stood by me throughout everything. Michael, now a defense attorney, helped coordinate with the prosecution. Jennifer, a social worker, helped arrange therapy for the grandchildren. "We always knew Skylar was selfish," Jennifer said. "But this is sociopathic." The grandchildren, Emma and Noah, went to live with Martin's mother initially, but she was elderly and couldn't handle them. Eventually, Jennifer and her husband took them in. I see them regularly now. They're getting therapy and beginning to understand that protecting myself wasn't abandoning them. It was survival. I'm still in my house. The trust one created means that even if something happens to me, my assets will be distributed according to my wishes, with multiple safeguards preventing anyone from manipulating the system. I've become an advocate for elder abuse prevention, speaking at senior centers and law enforcement conferences about warning signs and protective measures. I also started a consulting firm helping other elderly people who suspect they're being exploited. My PI skills, combined with my personal experience, make me uniquely qualified. I've helped dozens of seniors protect themselves from predatory family members. People ask me if I regret having Skylar arrested. The answer is no. She didn't just try to steal my money. She tried to steal my dignity, my freedom, and possibly my life. The psychiatric facility she mentioned. Those places are real, and once you're committed against your will based on false diagnoses, getting out is nearly impossible. Some of my clients' family members had succeeded where Skylar failed. Those victims are still locked up, medicated into compliance, while their relatives drain their bank accounts. What hurts most isn't the physical assault or even the financial betrayal. It's the loss of the relationship I thought we had. I grieve for the daughter I believe Skylar was. Kind, loving, grateful. But that daughter either never existed or died somewhere along the way, replaced by a woman willing to destroy her own mother for money. The night they shaved my head was the night I lost my child. But it was also the night I proved that all those years as a private investigator had taught me something invaluable. How to protect myself. My hair has grown back now, though I keep it shorter than before. Every morning when I look in the mirror, I see a survivor. The scars, physical and emotional, are there, but so is something else. The satisfaction of a case closed, justice served. I learned that you can love someone with your whole heart and still need to protect yourself from them. I learned that trust, once broken, can never be fully repaired. I learned that sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones we die for, and they're counting on that. But most importantly, I learned to trust my instincts. Those red flags I saw, they were real. That dread in my stomach, valid. My investigator's intuition knew what my heart didn't want to accept, that I was in danger from my own flesh and blood. If you're watching this video, if something about my story resonates with you, please listen to your gut. If a family member is asking suspicious questions about your finances, If documents appear that you don't remember signing, if people are suddenly concerned about your mental state when you feel perfectly fine, these are warning signs. Protect yourself. Document everything. Get medical evaluations proving your competency. Update your legal documents with a trusted attorney. Tell someone outside the situation what's happening. Create a paper trail. And if you can, do what I did, investigate. Gather evidence. Knowledge is power and evidence is protection. Elder abuse is more common than anyone wants to admit. It happens in every socioeconomic class, every community, every family. According to the National Council on Aging, 1 in 10 Americans aged 60 and older has experienced some form of elder abuse. And it's rarely the stranger we fear. It's the child we raised, the spouse we trusted, the family member who knows exactly how to exploit our love. My payback wasn't revenge in the traditional sense. I didn't plot to hurt Skylar and Martin. I simply used the skills I'd spent a lifetime developing to protect myself. I investigated, gathered evidence, and let the legal system do its job. The consequences they faced were the natural result of their own criminal actions. But watching them led away in handcuffs, knowing they'd spend years behind bars thinking about what they'd done, that was speechless worthy. The predators became the prey. The con artists got conned by the very person they thought was an easy mark. They forgot that I'd spent 35 years outsmarting people far more sophisticated than them. Today I'm doing better than I have in years. I work on select cases that interest me, mostly helping other seniors protect themselves. I travel with friends, visit my other children and grandchildren, and I've even started dating a wonderful retired detective I met through my consulting work. His name is Robert, and he reminds me that good, honest people still exist. The money Skylar and Martin wanted so badly. It's funding scholarships for criminal justice students, supporting elder abuse prevention programs, and will eventually help my grandchildren, including Emma and Noah, go to college. It's being used for good, not evil. Sometimes Skylar writes from prison. The letters are always the same. Apologies mixed with excuses, claims that Martin manipulated her, pleas for forgiveness and money for her commissary account. I don't respond. Some doors, once closed, need to stay closed for your own survival. My therapist says I'm not obligated to forgive someone who showed no remorse until they faced consequences. Forgiveness is complicated. Maybe someday I'll get there. But forgetting? Never. The woman who held me down while they shaved my head wasn't a stranger. She was my baby girl, the child I'd rocked to sleep and nursed through fevers and cheered at school plays. That betrayal isn't something you get over. It's something you learn to carry. To everyone listening, if this story disturbed you, good. This isn't entertainment. It's a warning. Protect yourselves, protect your loved ones, and never assume that family loyalty goes both ways. And if you're someone who's thinking about exploiting an elderly parent or relative, understand that we're not as helpless as you think. We've lived decades longer than you. We've survived wars, recessions, heartbreaks, and losses you can't imagine. We're tougher than we look. And some of us, like me, have spent our entire careers learning how to catch people like you. We're watching. We're documenting. And we're ready. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to this channel. Share it with someone who might need to hear it. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts. Have you experienced something similar? Do you know someone who needs to hear this warning? Remember, the mirror doesn't lie. Sometimes we just need the courage to see what's really there, even when the reflection shows us something we desperately don't want to see. This is Leah Taylor's story, shared by the voice of Deborah. Stay safe, trust your instincts, and never let anyone, family or otherwise, steal your dignity. Thank you for listening. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.